Yeah. Or you could start just by,
Not weird.
I do it so automatically now. How would I teach this? So, and then cross pinkies, and then hold your pinkies there with your thumbs.
It was the pinkies with the thumbs.
Right. And then,
there it is.
And then cross the index fingers. And this is a symbol of a perfect world with a central mountain, a sun, a moon, like it says in the Greek. So, and it's just offering a perfect world. You got it! Yay!
I can remember it. It just sometimes it comes. I'm like, oh.
Almost got it. Yeah, you got it. And then your index fingers just cross just grab your middle fingers with your, just hook your middle fingers. So, yeah, now you got it. Yeah. Central mountain, 4 continents, sun and moon. All right, cool. Yay! Mount
Meru? Is it Mount Meru?
Mount Meru, yeah. All right, gentlemen, can I blab at you for another 20 minutes or so?
Is a Tibetan aria pop?
No. Thank you. I didn't finish that throat. There's so-so-kewos and there's pakpas.
In my head, I was like, I think I know this word, and then you never said it. I can't confirm if I got it.
You did. You did have it. Okay.
You forgot it though, so we should say Nyotsa to you, right?
Nyotsa! That means shame in Tibetan when someone's in debate and they say, it's like that thing, and then the crowd goes, Nyotsa! Shame on you, you can't remember that? It's all loving, you know. It's like, who won the debate? It's like, everybody won, okay? In ancient times, one of the greatest Buddhist monasteries of all times, Nalanda, that was around for 500 years or something like that. Most of the authors of those books I was talking about that they study in the monastery, they were gatekeepers. And the thing is, someone would some guru would come to the gate with his entourage and then debate with the gatekeeper of the Buddhist monastery. And they would just and it wasn't and it was high stakes, because if you won, then you and all of your followers would have to follow the winner, okay? But it wasn't like, ha-ha, not like our debates, ha-ha, you won the election. It's like, damn, you're right, I'm in, it was like that, So, and the famous one that I really like, and I always mention, especially in the meditation class I taught, especially because there's so much Zen tradition and Chan tradition and all of that. About 700 AD, the Chinese were coming down with Chan, which became Zen, in Japan, into Tibet. And then they'd had the Indian tradition coming up from India, the birthplace of Buddhism. And one king finally goes, okay, that's it. You Chan guys are saying just empty your mind. All right? And then you Indian guys are saying, no, you have to have a focus of your mind. So get your 2 best teachers. They're going to debate. Whoever wins, Tibet will follow that forever. So it was, steel cage death match. Chinese versus Indian Buddhism. Who will win? And, so the Chan guy says, no, enlightenment is non-conceptual. Emptiness is, without concepts. You can't describe it. You must empty your mind, And the Indian guy goes, maybe that is true, but then if emptying your mind is enlightenment, then I guess a dog is enlightened. I guess someone who's passed out drunk is enlightened, and ooh. Anyway, so they debated back and forth, and finally the Indians won, and Tibet followed that forever. So, and again, this thing trying to slow down your thoughts and not run away with them, that is a practice. It's not the whole practice. Okay? Even in Tibet, there's 4 branches of Tibetan Buddhism. And with within, say, the Kagyu branch, there's like 8 different groups of Kagyus, and the reason was because Tibet has these huge mountain ranges. Each valley had their own version of it, depending on their lineage of lamas. So, but it's like someone will take this idea and run with it. It's like, oh, Lord Buddha said, focus on your awareness of your breath. Okay, I guess that's the web path to enlightenment, and it becomes like a whole country's, Buddhism, to focus on your breath.
Or those projections.
Yeah, those are too. And if we're seeing schisms, it's because of disrespecting teachers. So when I'm trying to talk up my particular flavor of Buddhism, I have to be very careful not to say, but those guys don't know what they're talking about. But then again, you want to say, it's like, no, this works.
You'll get traffic if you do that.
Yeah.
Or you would break a bodhisattva vow if you did.
I would break a bodhisattva vow, probably several of them. Absolutely. Okay, so path of preparation. Your meditation gets more intense. Your understanding of emptiness gets more and more subtle. All right, and then at some point, in deep meditation, you perceive directly this thing that they're talking about, the lack of nature to things, okay? Emptiness is a lack of something. Shunyata is a lack of something, but also that shu means it has infinite potential. I wrote down some notes, okay? Different teachers will talk about different, what's emptiness empty of? The first thing it says, oh, you have no self. You are a collection of parts, and within that you can't find any self with a capital S. Okay. So this thing that you're saying is you has no essence of itself, and that's emptiness. Okay. As a matter of fact, everything is interrelated, so you can't say that anything has any nature of its own. Okay, that's pretty good. Things depend on causes and conditions. What about something that's uncaused, like space? Oh, right, because nothing causes space, nothing destroys space. Well, that's empty too, and that's because things don't depend on causes, they depend on their parts, okay? Like you depend on your body, your mind, your feelings, your discriminations, all those things together. So you're empty of having anything other than those parts. Okay, but what about if no one's observing it? Anyway, it gets into this whole thing. The highest school says things lack. Some schools say it's like 50-50, okay? Yes, there's a thing out there, but without a mind to come and label it, it doesn't exist. So it depends half on the mind and half on being something in and of itself. But neither of those things, both the subject and object are depend on each other, so it's their lack of existing independently that makes them empty. Well, no, sort of, yeah, but okay. When it comes down to it, it's everything exists depending on what your mind projects on it based on your own old past karma. Really long story. That's almost like the 5 schools of Buddhism, 6 flavors of emptiness in like 3 minutes. It's a long story. It's a class I'd like to teach. It's a Mahamudra practice sometime because it goes through the successive, more subtle understandings of emptiness. Someday you'll be, the way one story goes, like making tea for your lama, and you'll be looking at it on the stove, and you've been studying logic, and you've been studying analysis, and you've been meditating, and then you realize that your mind is just taking like a little shine of silver here, and a little blackness here, just a little bit of data, and then from your mind comes pot, and then you realize there would be no pot there without my projection. And then you go and meditate on it, and it's like, what's there without my projection? Boom, you're into emptiness. Extremely rare, okay? And the cool thing about it is, you go on to the next path, the path of, and let me talk something about this. You come out of that meditation, and for the first time you realize the 4 Arya truths, which over and over people are calling the 4 noble truths. And it's just like, there's nothing noble about it. It's like, it's not that, you know these truths, so you have tea and have your pinky in the air, or you go fox hunting, okay? Nothing noble about the noble truths, okay? They are Arya truths, because once you've seen emptiness, you become an Arya, a being who's seen emptiness directly. And when you come out of that meditation, these things hit you hard. Say, Dugnal Denpa, the truth of suffering. You realize that you've never had a correct perception ever, all right? That it's all been you the whole time. You realize that everybody is chasing things that have no essence of their own, or running away from things that have no essence of its own. It's painful. It's really, really painful. It hurts. And then you understand how it's happening. Kunjun Denpa. Say Kunjun? Denpa. Truth of the cause. You understand this whole karma emptiness thing. All right? You understand that that does have an end. Okay? Say Gokden. Okay, the truth of stopping, or the truth of cessation. You understand that if you can stop these, if you can understand these projections that are forming, if you can stop hurting people and hurting yourself, that you could stop these painful appearances. Okay? And then Lamden. Say Lamden. Truth of the path. You understand that there is a way to get there. All right? That comes in the part that's very interesting. He says, and thus we can say, Shariputra, with emptiness, there's no body, there's no feelings. Yeah, okay, been there. Then he goes through, there's no eyes, there's no ears, there's no nose, no tongue, no body, nothing to see, nothing to touch, nothing to think of. Goes through all that. There's no part of you that sees, no part of you that's aware of what you see, all the way through up to the part of you that thinks, and the part of you that's aware that you're thinking. Then it gets very interesting. He says, there's no misunderstanding your words. In Tibetan, marikpa me, there's no, rikpa is understanding, marikpa is misunderstanding or ignorance. Marikpa sepa me pa me, gashi me, gashi sepa bardu yam me do. Sanskrit's very beautiful too, but I tend to slaughter the Sanskrit pronunciation. Na vidya, na avidya, na kashyo, yavam na jara naram, na jara marana yashya. There's no misunderstanding your world. There's no stopping this misunderstanding. And the same is true all the way to your old age and your death, and stopping your old age and your death. Then he refutes, the first Arya truths were supposed to be Lord Buddha's first teaching. He came out of meditation and goes, hey, there's these 4 Arya truths. This is what I realized. He turns around here and says, na dukkha samudaya nirodha marga. There is no suffering. There's no source of this suffering. There's no stopping the source of suffering. There's no path to stopping this suffering. So he's completely refuting his very first teaching. What does this mean? Self-existently from its own side. What do you mean there's no suffering? Suffering is empty, okay? 700 years later, Arya Nagarjuna says, if you understand emptiness, if you have wisdom, the wisdom that understands emptiness, then the whole sea of suffering becomes a puddle that you just step over. Okay? All of this means it doesn't come from its own side. What is this whole not dying thing? That sounds important. No one in any Buddhist class, in that whole Buddhist list, talks about, hey, let's talk about not dying, okay? That's kind of, you can get calm through meditation, okay? You can focus really well, all right? What's this whole not dying thing? Well, if everything is empty, okay, we talked about that stick that's a chew toy or a pen. More importantly, this stick, meat covering bone. A little bit of eczema there, a few liver spots, okay? It's getting older. It's getting weaker, okay? Is this something that's necessary and must happen? No, not if we're to believe Lord Buddha here. And you go, wait a minute, I've never heard of anyone not dying, all right? It's the same thing with the dog and the pen thing, okay? to be a being that sees a pen instead of a chew toy, how to say, if you're going to see someone walk on water, someone who understands that the splashiness of water is a projection and they can change their projections, you have to be very close to being able to walk on water yourself. But then we hear stories of like these lamas that go into final meditation and their body stays warm for 2 weeks, and they don't get smelly or anything. It's like for the most part, if you're a high practitioner, you're not allowed to show off until the end. Okay? And then you can do crazy stuff. There's no knowledge, there's nothing to reach, there's nothing not to reach. Okay, here we're getting into, so what happens after this? You have all these realizations, boom, boom, boom. You go through life and you realize that everything is your projection, and if you just treat people differently and stop reacting all the time as if things were real, then you can start to clean up your own heart until it's perfect. We get into, where is it? Oh, I don't think I did it. Okay. We're into what's called did I have it over? Yeah, I have the list. No, I just went to the path of seeing here, so I just have to go back to, go on. After the path of seeing, path of habituation. Now that you've seen emptiness, you're cleaning yourself up all the time until even the slightest appearance of things of coming from their own side is gone. And that's a path called, a path. When I say path, we could say levels, okay? Remember, you have a serious spiritual life, you seriously get into meditation and understanding, boom, all of those seeds you planted forces you to see ultimate reality, raw. For the rest of the time, you're getting used to what you saw. You could call it the path of habituation or gomam. That's kind of listed. You're understanding the emptiness of things more and more, and you stop reacting negatively. It's like you can't create any more karma anymore, any more negative karma, because negative karma is based on misunderstanding what's happening to you. When you have that understanding, you're not creating karma, and your projections start to change entirely. We're on the path of the path of habituation. We're trying to get to Buddhahood at this point, okay? But he turns around and says, there's no knowledge, there's nothing to reach, there's nothing not to reach. What the hell does that mean? And here's where it gets cool. Thus we can say, Shariputra, that warrior saints, bodhisattvas, you're an Arya Bodhisattva after the path of seeing if you have the wish to get enlightened for the sake of every living being. Long story, but 10 minutes left. Thus it is, Shariputra, that warrior saints have nothing to reach. Because of this, they're able to practice this perfection of wisdom and stay in this perfection of wisdom. This frees them of every obstacle in their minds and frees them from all fear. They go beyond all wrong ways of thinking and reach the ultimate end of nirvana. So here he's talking about the path of habituation. Once you've seen, you have nothing to fear anymore, okay? Once you've seen the emptiness of a Buddha, all right? And you understand that's exactly the same emptiness that you have. Does that mean you're a Buddha? No. It means the potential is there, all right? Yeah, I don't know what else to say here. You're a completely different kind of being once you've seen emptiness directly. And again, a lot of people think they've seen emptiness. If you do a lot of energy work with yoga and Tai Chi and Qigong and all of this, you can get to these incredible blissful states because you're cracking open the central energy channel and loosening the knots of the chakras, and you get all this blissful thing. When you start getting this energy into the central channel, you might start to think, oh, I've seen emptiness, As you meditate more, as you practice your vows more, as you're kinder, you get happier and happier. It's like, oh, I'm getting close to nirvana. Okay, there's a relationship between your kindness or your lack of kindness and and the energy work too. There's these side channels that strangle the central channel. Every time you have a thought of craving, the left side channel fills with energy and tightens up, okay? And every time you have a thought of anger, the right side channel fills with energy and tightens up. There's these knots, and they choke off the central channel, okay? Doing yoga is a physical method of loosening these knots. Being kind and controlling your thoughts, keeping your vows, is really the way that it works when you're trying to minimize the energy in these side channels and open up the central channel. Meditation also, calming the mind. At least while you're meditating and focusing on your breath, you're not craving or hating. Okay, so that does help. It does help a lot. Okay, and you can start to get happier. You can get to single-pointed, incredibly blissful meditation. And you go through life, life is good. Still not this thing. Okay, and a lot of things can be mistaken for it. After you get to this point, after you've seen a Buddha, after you've seen how you can become enlightened, then the rest of your existence, they say a maximum of 7 lifetimes. 1 lifetime if you practice Tantra. You can completely purify the slightest stain of thinking things or feeling that things are self-existent and reach Buddhahood, okay? All bets are off at that point. You understand how it works. Maybe after seeing emptiness, you can't immediately turn a brick into gold, okay? But you certainly understand how that potential is there. And so here we are on the path of habituation, getting used to what we're seeing. Loving Eyes goes on, all enlightened beings of the past, the present, and the future too follow the same perfection of wisdom and thus bring them to perfect enlightenment, the matchless state of a totally enlightened Buddha. And then he goes into the mantra, which again is these 5 paths encoded. Tadyata gate gate paragate parasam gate bodhisoha. Gate, go on the path of accumulation. Get a spiritual life, okay? Gate, go on the path of preparation. Understand emptiness more deeply. Get your meditation better. Get your kindness better. Parasamgate, go perfectly. No, go to the other side. Go beyond. Para, like paramita, something that takes you to the other side. Go beyond. Get to the path of seeing. See emptiness directly. After that, parasamgate, go perfectly beyond. Now that you've seen emptiness, you really can do no wrong. Bodhi, soha, amen. Okay? So this is gate, paragate, parasamgate, bodhi, soha. The whole spiritual path, all the hurdles you have to get to, is in that one mantra, and it's encoded in the whole sutra. So that's why this is the essence or the perfection of wisdom, how you get there, and it's an incredible. And this is why it's been so revered. That's why it's people would tear off little pieces and eat it for good luck. A couple of months ago, I was asked to do a blessing for the opening of a yoga studio that some friends have up in Northern California. I think, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Heart Sutra, hello. So we had the group chant, gate, paragate, and burned incense and did all these things. But again, it comes down to this kindness and this understanding of why kindness works. Just to finish up, he's saying, thus it is, Shariputra, that great warrior saints, again, that's our translation of Bodhisattva, must train themselves in the profound perfection of wisdom. Okay, this is a sutra, right? It's supposed to be the speech of the Lord Buddha. For the entire time, he's just been checked out meditating. Very beginning of the text, it's like, oh yeah, so it's a sutra, it's about Lord Buddha. What's he do? He just checks out the beginning. Lord Buddha goes into meditation. And then at this point, he comes out of the meditation. Loving Eye sums up, thus it is, Shariputra, the great warrior saints must train themselves in the profound perfection of wisdom. And then Lord Buddha comes out of it, says, with this a conqueror stirred himself from his deep state of meditation. He turned to the great warrior, the realized one, Loving Eyes, the Lord of power, and blessed his words, saying, true, he said, and true again. So Lord Buddha comes out of meditation, he's like, great job, man. I'll just sit here and meditate. You teach. That's awesome. Okay, Lord Buddha never says anything without great meaning. Why does he say true 3 times? Yeah. Okay, the Buddha repeats himself saying true twice as he wants to express his joy at the truth and the mastery of the teachings which Loving Eyes has given. He also makes the additional one because he wants to induce others to listen or to have faith in what's been said. And then the third true is like, yeah, you can put that in the canon. You can sign my name to it, basically. In Tibetan, it's lekso, lekso, lekso. Yeah, it's beautiful. Ritipu deshin no deshinte, jitar kyuki tenpa tu shinte chera ki kaparu tu chenpo shabo la chepa jate. Deshin shekpa nam kyang jutsu yirang mo. Thus it is. Oh wait, I skipped the part where it goes. Dene chomdende. Okay, Dene at that moment, chomdende, the conqueror, Tigne Zin, came out of his deep place of meditation. Dene chomdende dele shinte, jangchup sempa sempa chenpo pakpa chenrezik wangchuk la lekso she jawajine. Lekso, lekso. So that's the Buddha came out of his meditation and looked at Loving Eyes and said, lekso, lekso, lekso. True, true, true. Nice job. Very good. In Sanskrit, where is it? It's sadhu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Yep, good. Yep, right. I agree. Nice job. You did it. Okay. He goes on to say, thus it is, O son of noble family, and just so it is. One should follow the profound perfection of wisdom just as you have taught it, and every one of those who have gone thus rejoice in your words as I do. And then there's this colophon at the end. When the conqueror had spoken thus, the junior monk Shariputra took joy. The warrior, the realized one, Loving Eyes, the Lord of Power, took joy as well. And all the assembled disciples took joy, and so did the entire world, with its gods, its men, its near gods and spirits too take joy. All sang the praises of what the conqueror had spoken, which was just, yeah, good job, right. So that is a quick flyover over the Heart Sutra, and it refers to so much. It's really powerful, and I hope I made the case that the entire spiritual path is encoded in the sutra. It's even encoded in the mantra. So again, like I did last night, I'd just like to, and not last night, the other night, just for good luck, let's do the mantra 3 times, and hope that everyone travels this path and ends their pain forever. And then we'll do our Tibetan prayer thingy. Now a couple of you have gotten the thing. So middle of page 9. The mantra, Tadyata gate gate paragate parasamgate bodhisoha. Everyone. Tadyata gate gate paragate parasamgate bodhisoha. Tadyata gate gate paragate parasamgate bodhisoha. That. Series of teachings, even though We don't do prostrations, we leave something undone, which is a symbol of we still have more business together. So enjoy the rest of your day. I'm available for questions, comments, or complaints. And if anyone wants to help put away chairs or blankets or anything, that would be really useful. Someday when I'm a rock star alum, I'll have a bunch of people to take care of this stuff for me, but right now it's just me, so. Oh, do you guys want to attempt the homework? You would probably actually have to listen to the tapes. And I will get it graded. I have a goal of getting caught up on my grading before the end of the year. So I'm going to be teaching less, and I'm going to be doing more practice. Cool, thank
I
you.
just didn't bring my own.
Oh, that's cool. All right.
Is there a place where we can make an offering? Or?
There's a little box up there.
Is
Yeah,
there?
that would be helpful very much. I think I could actually return my the really cool holder thing that I got, easel.
Oh.
Because I have this whole gas and groceries thing. It's like, yeah, I'll take it. And then I'm like, no, I won't.
I have a question.
Yes.
After the scene, your kids were soft
Yeah.
from that point on.
Mm-hmm.
So what if you were to die 5 minutes after coming out of that scene, and reborn as a rich kid or something? You won't remember.
They say the seeds ripen again. Nothing's really lost.
Yeah.
Which is why we're interested in Dharma to begin with. Okay, at some point we got some teachings. And then when we heard it again, it was like, yeah, that, I want that. Okay? So if you had gotten to the passive scene, like, you could be pretty normal until about, I mean, they say about, somewhere around puberty, and the seeds start popping up. They even say the real primate llamas, when they're kids, they're just normal kids. They're little jerks, selfish jerks. And then somewhere around teenage years, they get serious, and the seeds start ripening again, and you go, yeah.
That's like Ken Rinpoche.
Exactly. Ken Rinpoche did all kinds of crazy things, And you read about the arrow of dough? No. I think it's in the beginning of the printed version of Three Principal Paths. So they have these long, long prayers in the beginning, and people would be like falling asleep. So they'd sit across the way, and they had little balls of sampa. And then, someone was falling asleep or had their mouth open, they would go, oh, and try and hit, He was nuts! And then somewhere in his teenage years, after meeting Boker Rinpoche, said, I'm going to get serious about this.
Yeah.